Breslov says about himself, so he says, even if he would have transgressed the worst mitzvah in Torah, it would fall into depression. You make tshuva and keep on going. Get up and keep on going. This is a lesson we learned right here on Brody and the Torah. Okay, so let's see what happened in this week's Torah. We're talking about Cain and Abel. Okay, Cain, Cain was the one who first initiated the ritual sacrifice. Cain was the one. Look what the Torah says. We're in chapter 4 of Breshit, and we're in Pasuk Gimel, the third Pasuk, and the Torah says, "Vayehi miketz yamim, vayavi Cain mipli adam, Cain mipli adama minchal Hashem." Cain was a soul farmer, and he brought from his crops a ritual sacrifice to Hashem. Rashi says he brought a cheapo sacrifice. He brought pishtan, zera pishtan. It is linseed. Okay. See, we brought flaxseed. Excuse me, flaxseed. He brought flaxseed. All right. Well, maybe some people, the health experts, they might disagree with Rashi, with the older Rashi, because flax is, it's a health food. Maybe Cain thought that Hashem enjoyed health foods and gave it flax. Okay, but Rashi says it was cheaper. He could have brought some nice cantaloupe or watermelon things he raised. He brought something. All right, but he's the one that initiated. And where do we learn this from? The next pasuk says, "V'hev gam hu," and Abel he also brought, which means that he only brought a sacrifice. Abel, he raised sheep. He was a sheep farmer, and he brought, when he saw the sacrifice that Cain brought, he brought his best sheep. And the best, the goat, the sheep cheese, he wanted to outdo him. So we think, as a question, King David says in Psalms that tzaddik lo yamela kolah, that no evil should befall a tzaddik. So if Cain was a tzaddik, how come Hashem let him kill? Well, there was something that was wrong with Abel, and we see heavenly gamahu. The Torah says gamahu. It was something, a nuance that I was always afraid to say it, though I heard it from Rav Sholem. And Rav Sholem saw this in the Toldat Yitzchak. It's a book on Chamishah Chumshei Torah by the uncle of Rabbi Yosef Karo, Rav Yitzchak Karo, of from the Spanish Inquisition, the end of the Spanish Inquisition. Okay, he said that Abel was killed because Abel did his sacrifice. Yeah, he gave the best sacrifice, but he didn't initiate it. And he did it to show off against Cain, oh, I'm better than him, rather than to give Hashem gratification. And that's why he did, because his motives were not 100% clear, he not continued. But despite the fact, that's aside. What's the main thing? The Torah says in the next pasuk, Hashem didn't accept Cain's offering. He said, no, Cain is not a proper offering, except Abel's. And Cain was very upset, very depressed, and very upset, visibly upset. So Hashem says, Hashem goes in, look at the level of Cain. Vayomer Hashem el Cain. Hashem is talking to him. Look at the level. Look at the spiritual potential. People don't pay attention to this. Hashem is talking to Cain. Vayomer Hashem el Cain. And what's it Hashem? Not Elohim, Hashem. Yud-Kei-Vav-Kei. The God of compassion, Hashem with his compassionate side, is talking to Cain. And he says to Cain, he says, my beloved son, Lama Cha'alecha. Why are you upset? V'lama naflu panecha. Why are you disappointed? So Cain, why are you upset? Why are you disappointed? This is Cain. Hashem is consoling him. Okay, Cain, you lost the game. Hashem's the referee. Hashem goes to the losing boxer that got knocked out and puts his arm on his shoulder. And he says, why are you upset? Okay, you lost the fight. All right, you lost. But what does Hashem say? Halo en teitiv set. He says, if you will do your best, you're going to be much stronger than your brother. Is that Allah? Atatim shalbu. Okay. The Torah interpreters say Hashem tells Cain that you are going to be able to control him. Who's the him? Some of the interpreters say, control your brother Abel. Some of the interpreters say, control your evil inclination. And it's really both. Both. Hashem is telling Cain, listen, Cain, don't be disappointed. He says, I will accept your sacrifice, and this is something you'll have to understand. Sometimes Hashem doesn't let us succeed. Why does Hashem not let us succeed? Because Hashem knows we can do so much better. So if Hashem will let us succeed at the lower level, I think we're already great. But the fact we don't succeed, Hashem says, now try harder. And you find you can do much better. But sometimes, okay, we don't learn, we don't understand the Gemara after learning 6 times. Hashem wants to learn the 7th time. Learn the 7th time. It's a big difference between learning 7 times. The Gemara says itself. There's a difference in learning the Gemara 101 times and learning 100 times. Sometimes Hashem doesn't give understanding until we learn the 101st time. That's what Hashem saying to Cain. Okay, I did not accept your sacrifice, my beloved son, the first time you gave it, because it's not property. It's not really what this is, I'm your Father in heaven. You got to bring me the best stuff. That's what your brother did. All right? But you have the capability. Hashem is telling Cain, I gave you absolute power greater than your brother. I'll give you an example. In mathematics, there's what's called absolute numbers. You have positive 100 and negative 100. Now, when you take negative times negative, you get positive. Negative 100 times negative 100 is positive 10,000. So you take a negative. In other words, Cain had a tremendous evil inclination. Tremendous evil inclination. The Zohar says, that it talks about the circumstances of Cain being born. He says Cain was born out of Eve and the snake. This is the Zohar. Abel was born. This is Cain. This is the words of the Zohar. We don't understand them, but it's the words of the Zohar. Crazy. But Cain had this fantastic power. You know what Hashem is telling us here in the Torah? You take your power for lust. You take your power for evil. You put that lust in the Torah. Gedolei Yisrael. You're going to be the great of Israel. You take that lust that you've got for forbidden things and put it into the power of Torah. Wow. You'll be flying. You'll be flying. And this is what the Gemara tells us. Kol hadoydel mechaver or yitzchok gedol imenu. That a person is on a higher level than his friend. That his friend has got a stronger Yetzer Hara. Yeah. You know what Rav Shalom said about his Yetzer Hara? Rav Shalom said what's it in Ukraine, and you see these great big Ukrainians, the guys that weigh 250 pounds and they're 6'4". Rav Shalom told me something I'll never forget. You can't believe it. He says, people look at me, they guard my eyes. He says, if my Yetzer Hara would go into 100 Ukrainians, it would kill them. Can you believe that? 100, 250-pound Ukrainians, they got. He says, if his Yetzer Hara, I'm a Yetzer Hara sheli nechnas lemei Ukrainians yahol v'kulam. Words of Rav Shalom. Can you imagine? A person that's got an easy Yetzer Hara, he's not going to do too much bad, not going to do much good. This is taming the tiger. And something I forget. In high school, our varsity wrestling coach, and the coach he says, I can tame a tiger, I cannot put fire in a pussycat. He says, you can't fire up a pussycat, but you can get a tiger who can destroy, you can take that can use his power. Same thing in all of nature. What you could do with atomic power, you could destroy a city, you can light up a city. You can do with fire. It's unbelievable. This is what Jim is telling Cain. Cain says, Hashem, when I got this Yetzer Hara, they go over and so after he ends up killing, he didn't take it, he didn't listen to Hashem. So what does he do? He lets his evil inclination overcome him, and now he takes out revenge on his brother, which is another transgression of Torah. And now Hashem says, okay, Mazda, now you're in big problem. Now you make me send you into exile, Navinad. And he says, Hashem, my punishment is more than I can handle. Your punishment is more than you can handle. You know why? You got this tremendous Yetzer Hara because this is your capacity for good. And that's why Rav Shalom says the Yetzer Hara is our best friend. Because our Yetzer Hara is the tiger within us. It's the brute power. If you don't have the brute power, you can't pull the wagon up the hill. You need that brute power to pull the wagon up the hill. I know there are plenty of guys in yeshiva. Plenty of guys in yeshiva, especially American guys. Okay, a guy who knows in America, they say, are in the West, and especially in the UK, even more in America. Okay, guys going to Oxford. Guys go, oh, what are you learning? What are you studying for? What do they say in British? They'd say, what are you reading? Huh? What are you reading? In America, they'd say, what are you studying? And the Canadians and the Brits say, what are you reading? In other words, what degree are you studying for? They say, what are you reading for? All right, the guy's in Oxford Law. Oh, that's fine. I understand. Oh, yeah, he's going to be a lawyer. Or he goes to medical school. Okay, fine. Goes to Manchester, studies medicine. Studying Torah Lishma, they don't understand that. Guy came over here to Eshet Torah, or to Torah Sameach, and he studied Torah to learn. And right away the parents in America, the UK said, what degree do you get? But now the guy's smart, and he says, okay, I'm going to get my parents off my back, so he enrolls in a rabbinical course. They let me do that. Oh, I'm studying to be a rabbi. Oh, this I understand. Okay. Reb Noach Weinberg once told me, my beloved Rosh Hashiva of saintly and blessed memory, he says the Yetzer Hara is a strong, strong mule. Right? Some people can't. You take an American guy or a British guy, tell him learn Torah for the sake of learning Torah, you can't do it. You say, don't you want to be called an important rabbi? Don't you want a degree of rabbi? Yeah, go in. So he sits down and he starts learning rabbinics, and after 2 years learning rabbinics, he forgets why he's learning Torah. Meanwhile, he's got the love of Torah. Because if he doesn't have the love of Torah, he can't finish the course. Guys drop out right and left. Guys don't drop out with the love of Torah. So meanwhile, he's into the Gemara, he's in the year, and 2 years later, he said, what are you doing? He says, I love Torah. Yeah, but you came into the course in order to get the degree. Oh, I forgot about that long ago. I don't know what I'm planning to be a rabbi, so I'm sure. I forgot about that long ago. This is what Reb Noach says, that without that evil inclination for honor, for the degree, the guy would never start learning Torah. And this is the famous Gemara. It's an explicit Gemara tractate Pesachim. It says, "Le'olam yilmad Torah lishma, mitoch shelomed lo lishma yilmad lishma." That a person should always, always come into Torah or do a mitzvah with an ulterior motive, because once he gets the light of Torah and the light of mitzvah, he'll do it for the real motive.